The Egyptians themselves call themselves a legacy culture. So they describe 2 time periods before dynastic civilization. Even today, archaeologists and Egyptologists will tell you 70 to 85% of ancient Egypt is still buried beneath the sea. We're looking at the remnants of a lost civilization, the tools that we've found, you know, the way they lived their life. That's the job of the Egyptologist.
It's incredible how respectless tourists can be. You see, here is another ancient engraving, but somebody just tried to engrave a figure beside it. What can we do to avoid this destruction of the cultural heritage in the desert?
Imagine a world hidden beneath the sands, untouched by human hands for millennia. When scientists recently opened a cave in the heart of the Egyptian Sahara that had been sealed for thousands of years, they uncovered a breathtaking glimpse into a forgotten past, the Cave of Swimmers, with its mysterious rock paintings of people swimming in what is now one of the driest places on Earth. Join us as we delve into this astonishing discovery and compare it with another ancient wonder, Indonesia's Liang Timpuseng Cave, home to the world's oldest known hand stencil, revealing secrets of humanity's earliest artistic expressions. In 1933, Hungarian explorer Laszlo Almasi stumbled upon the Cave of Swimmers in the remote Gilf Kebir plateau of the Egyptian Sahara. One of the most arid and inhospitable places on Earth, this region holds a small cave, about the size of a one-car garage, measuring approximately 10 meters by 3 meters. Despite its modest size, this cave is a window into a prehistoric era, when the Sahara was a lush, fertile land. The Cave of Swimmers is renowned for its Neolithic rock paintings, estimated to be around 10,000 years old. These paintings, created with a reddish-brown pigment, depict human figures in swimming postures, suggesting that the area once had bodies of water. The art also features wildlife like giraffes, reinforcing the idea of a once verdant environment. These depictions are not just artistic expressions, they are crucial evidence of the dramatic climatic changes that have transformed the Sahara from a hospitable environment to the arid desert we know today. Almasi's discovery gained wider fame through the 1996 film The English Patient, which drew inspiration from his life and explorations.
Said to be buried together for thousands of years, the mystery of the lost tomb of Cleopatra and Mark Antony has remained a mystery. Perhaps that is, until today. This never-before-seen tunnel has been something regarded as an engineering miracle. And while that whole thing is huge, how does all of this happen in the first place?
The discovery of Cleopatra's tomb is undeniably one of the most thrilling and mysterious achievements in archaeology. Cleopatra VII, the final ruler of the Ptolemaic Kingdom of Egypt, has fascinated people for centuries with her intelligence, political shrewdness, and her famous romances with Roman leaders Julius Caesar and Mark Antony. For ages, the location of her final resting place remained one of history's most elusive mysteries. The breakthrough in the search for Cleopatra's tomb emerged in the early 21st century. This incredible discovery was driven by Dr. Zahi Hawass, Egypt's former Minister of Antiquities, and Kathleen Martinez, a Dominican lawyer turned self-taught archaeologist with a deep passion for Cleopatra. Martinez, fueled by her admiration for Cleopatra and her extensive research of ancient texts, posited that Cleopatra and Mark Antony were buried in the temple of Osiris Magna, near the ancient city of Alexandria. Martinez's theory was rooted in a detailed analysis of historical accounts by Plutarch and Cassius Dio, suggesting Cleopatra might have been buried in a temple dedicated to the goddess Isis. This idea contrasted with the prevailing belief that Cleopatra was interred within Alexandria itself. In 2005, Martinez obtained permission from the Egyptian authorities to commence excavations at Osiris Magna. The excavation at Osiris Magna was challenging. The site, located on the edge of the Libyan desert, posed significant difficulties due to its unstable structures and the complex layers of archaeological deposits. Over several years, the team uncovered notable artifacts, including coins with Cleopatra's likeness, statues, and inscriptions, all supporting the hypothesis that the site was connected to Cleopatra. A particularly intriguing aspect of this discovery was the mysterious and seemingly serendipitous nature of many findings. Key discoveries often coincided with unusual weather events like sudden sandstorms and unexpected rains, almost as if guiding the archaeologists to crucial areas. Some team members reported vivid dreams and visions of ancient rituals, which they interpreted as spiritual guidance. An especially fascinating discovery was a large, unfinished tunnel beneath the temple, leading to a series of chambers. This tunnel, carved with precise craftsmanship, suggested that the burial complex was intended for someone of extraordinary significance, possibly Cleopatra herself. Inside these chambers, the team found a hidden room containing a collection of golden artifacts and inscriptions referring to a Queen of Kings, a title often linked to Cleopatra. The initial announcement of the discovery of Cleopatra's tomb attracted immense media attention and widespread public interest. Press conferences were held, documentaries were produced, and the artifacts were meticulously catalogued and preserved. Many of these artifacts, including statues, jewelry, and coins, were exhibited in museums worldwide, drawing millions of visitors eager to learn more about Cleopatra and her era. Following the discovery, Osiris Magna became a focal point for ongoing archaeological research. Scholars and historians collaborated to further investigate the surrounding area, uncovering additional structures and artifacts that offered more insights into the Ptolemaic period. The discovery also led to a re-evaluation of other potential burial sites across Egypt, prompting new excavations and yielding fresh historical data. The site itself transformed into a popular tourist destination, significantly boosting the local economy and fostering a deeper appreciation for Egypt's rich cultural heritage. Educational programs and public lectures spread the knowledge gained from the discovery, inspiring a new generation of archaeologists and historians. Cleopatra's tomb holds a treasure trove of unique and fascinating facts that shed light on her life and reign. One of the most remarkable aspects of Cleopatra was her linguistic prowess. She was fluent in several languages, including Egyptian, Greek, Latin, and possibly others, which allowed her to communicate effectively with various cultures and political leaders. This multilingual ability was a significant asset in her diplomatic engagements and helped her maintain strong political ties. Cleopatra's reign was characterized by a remarkable blend of Egyptian and Hellenistic cultures. She embraced Egyptian customs and religious practices, presenting herself as the reincarnation of the goddess Isis, while also maintaining strong connections to her Greek heritage. This cultural syncretism was reflected in the art, architecture, and religious ceremonies of her time, creating a unique and vibrant cultural landscape. The tomb at Osiris Magna, believed to be Cleopatra's final resting place, is a testament to her architectural vision. The complex features intricate carvings, hidden chambers, and sophisticated tunnels, highlighting the advanced engineering and architectural skills of the period. The tomb's design and construction reflect the grandeur and sophistication that Cleopatra likely envisioned for her eternal abode. The artifacts discovered within the tomb are rich with symbolism. Golden jewelry, statues, and inscriptions reflect Cleopatra's royal status, religious beliefs, and political ambitions. These artifacts offer a glimpse into her life, her reign, and her desire to be remembered as a divine ruler. The symbols and inscriptions provide valuable insights into how Cleopatra viewed herself and how she wanted to be perceived by future generations. The discovery of hidden chambers and tunnels within the tomb complex suggests that Cleopatra may have taken great care to ensure the security and sanctity of her final resting place. These hidden features indicate a sophisticated understanding of architecture and a deep respect for the afterlife. The hidden chambers and tunnels add an element of mystery and intrigue to the tomb, highlighting the lengths to which Cleopatra went to protect her legacy. The tomb complex at Osiris Magna is extensive, featuring a series of interconnected chambers and tunnels. The main burial chamber, believed to be the final resting place of Cleopatra, is adorned with intricate carvings and decorated with golden artifacts. The size of the tomb and its elaborate design indicate that it was intended for a person of significant importance, supporting the theory that it belongs to Cleopatra. Among the artifacts discovered were numerous statues, some depicting Cleopatra herself, others representing Egyptian gods and goddesses. The team also found a wealth of golden jewelry, including necklaces, bracelets, and rings, many of which are inscribed with hieroglyphs and symbols associated with royalty and divinity. Additionally, coins bearing Cleopatra's likeness and inscriptions were uncovered, further supporting the identification of the tomb. These artifacts not only highlight Cleopatra's royal status, but also provide a tangible connection to the historical figure, enriching our understanding of her life and reign. One of the most enduring mysteries surrounding Cleopatra is the exact circumstances of her passing. The traditional account suggests that she took herself by allowing an asp, a venomous snake, to bite her. However, some scholars propose alternative theories. Another intriguing theory is that Cleopatra's relationship with Rome was more complex than commonly portrayed. Some historians believe that her alliances with Julius Caesar and later with Mark Antony were part of a broader strategy to create a unified Greco-Roman Egyptian empire, with Alexandria as its capital. This theory suggests that Cleopatra's ambitions extended beyond Egypt, envisioning a new world order centered around her rule. The discovery of Cleopatra's tomb has also sparked speculation about a potential curse associated with disturbing her final resting place. Similar to the curse of Tutankhamun's tomb, some believe that those who enter Cleopatra's tomb may face misfortune or supernatural retribution. While there is no concrete evidence to support this theory, it adds an element of mystery and intrigue to the discovery. One of the most mysterious coincidences related to the discovery of Cleopatra's tomb is the alignment of astrological events. Researchers noted that significant breakthroughs in the excavation process often coincided with notable celestial events, such as eclipses and planetary conjunctions. Some believe that these alignments were not mere coincidences, but rather signs of divine intervention or ancient knowledge encoded in the tomb's design. Several members of the excavation team reported experiencing intuitive insights and inexplicable hunches that guided their efforts. These insights often led to significant discoveries, such as the location of hidden chambers or the interpretation of cryptic inscriptions. While these experiences cannot be scientifically explained, they add a layer of mystery to the discovery process. Cleopatra's legacy also includes her efforts to position herself as a divine ruler. She was closely associated with the goddess Isis and often depicted herself as the goddess's earthly embodiment. This association was part of her strategy to legitimize her rule and strengthen her connection with the Egyptian people. The artifacts found in her tomb, including statues and inscriptions depicting her as Isis, underscore this aspect of her reign.
He knew a mystery when he saw it, and he couldn't explain it. We should be open-minded enough to consider the possibility that some of the answers may sit outside of our current perspective.
What do conventional archaeologists say when they're confronted by all of this data?
Ever wondered what went on inside those magnificent pyramids of ancient Egypt? Well, buckle up, because we're about to delve into the fascinating world of the ancient pyramid texts. These inscriptions carved onto the pyramid walls around 2400 to 2300 BCE are like a window into the hearts and minds of the people who built these incredible structures. These texts weren't just random scribbles, they were meticulously crafted during a pivotal period in Egyptian history, the twilight of the Old Kingdom. This era is famous for the iconic pyramids, those towering tombs for pharaohs. The pyramids themselves are a testament to the Egyptians' architectural genius and their deep understanding of math and engineering. But the pyramid texts are more than just historical footnotes. They're the earliest known religious writings from Egypt, offering a glimpse into the beliefs and practices of this ancient civilization. They're like cultural snapshots, showing how art, architecture, and religion were all woven together. The pyramids themselves were seen as the ultimate expression of both religious devotion and the pharaoh's supreme power. Speaking of power, the pharaohs of the Old Kingdom weren't just seen as leaders, they were considered living gods. This concept of divine kingship was the glue that held society together, justifying the pharaoh's absolute authority. The pyramid texts are all about this. They're basically spells and instructions meant to help the pharaoh navigate the afterlife and join the gods, further solidifying the idea of their godlike status. Imagine a society where the pharaoh is at the top of the pyramid, wielding immense power. That's exactly what the Old Kingdom was like. This centralized system allowed them to mobilize the massive resources and manpower needed to build the pyramids. It also meant the government had a tight grip on things, controlling people and resources to a great extent. But running a complex society like this wasn't a walk in the park. It required a well-oiled bureaucratic machine, and that's what the Egyptians had. This network of officials kept things running smoothly, organizing labor, managing resources, and handling the countless details of daily life. It was a sophisticated system for a sophisticated society. We've talked about the cultural significance of the pyramid texts and the social structure of the Old Kingdom, but how did they manage to pull off such massive building projects? Building a pyramid wasn't like putting together a piece of IKEA furniture. It required serious resources and manpower. Imagine this: hauling giant blocks of stone, transporting them for miles, and feeding a whole army of workers for years on end. That's what the Egyptians had to do to build the pyramids. It was a massive undertaking, requiring a well-oiled economic engine. Here's where things get interesting. Contrary to popular belief, the pyramids weren't built by slaves, but by a paid workforce. These workers were likely skilled laborers, artisans, and even seasonal workers, and they were treated pretty well. We found evidence of medical care, food, and even some form of compensation. So how could they afford all this? The answer lies in a concept called economic surplus. Basically, they had enough resources left over after taking care of basic needs like food and shelter to invest in these grand projects. This surplus came from their mastery of agriculture thanks to the Nile River's annual floods. These floods enriched the land and allowed them to grow more food than they needed to survive, freeing up people to work on other things like, you guessed it, building pyramids. But the pyramids are more than just piles of stone, they're symbols too. Many believe they represent the rays of the sun, a pathway for the pharaoh's soul to reach the heavens. This symbolism is deeply connected to the pyramid texts, which are filled with references to the sun god Ra. It all goes back to the Egyptians' belief system, where religion, royalty, and the universe were all interconnected. Speaking of connections, the pyramid texts are like the great-grandparents of later Egyptian religious texts. They paved the way for things like the coffin texts and the Book of the Dead. These later texts show how Egyptian beliefs evolved over time, adapting and becoming more accessible to people beyond just the pharaohs. So we've explored the economic engine behind the pyramids and the deeper meaning they hold. But let's not forget the pyramids themselves. They weren't just giant piles of stone. They were meticulously designed and built with a specific purpose in mind. Imagine these pyramids as giant tombs, built to house the bodies and possessions of pharaohs after they passed away. But they weren't just storage units. They were designed to help the pharaoh's soul on its journey to the afterlife, and that's where the pyramid texts come in. These inscriptions were like a guidebook for the pharaoh's soul, offering spells and protection every step of the way. The most famous pyramid containing these texts belongs to Unas, the last ruler of the 5th dynasty. His pyramid, located in Saqqara, was the first to include these inscriptions, paving the way for future pharaohs to follow suit. Think of it like a new trend. Once Unas did it, other pharaohs like Teti, Pepi I, and even Pepi II decided they wanted pyramid texts too. These texts weren't just scribbled on any old piece of papyrus. They were painstakingly carved into the very walls of the pyramids by skilled artisans. Imagine the dedication and precision it took to etch those intricate hieroglyphs into stone. This not only shows the skill of the craftsman, but also highlights the importance of the texts themselves. They were considered so sacred and valuable that they deserved a permanent and prominent place within the pyramids. Speaking of sacredness, these texts were like the holy scripts of their time. They contained spells, prayers, and hymns, all designed to ensure the pharaoh's safe passage to the afterlife and even his transformation into a god. The fact that they were placed inside the pyramids, which were themselves seen as sacred spaces, further emphasizes their importance. But here's the interesting part. Initially, these texts were an exclusive club. Only the pharaohs got to enjoy their benefits, further solidifying their divine status in society. It kind of reflects the hierarchical structure of the time, where access to certain religious practices and texts was restricted to the privileged few. However, things eventually changed. Over time, the concepts and spells found in the pyramid texts started to trickle down to the broader Egyptian population. This led to the development of the coffin texts, and later the famous Book of the Dead. These later texts mark a turning point, making spells and rituals for the afterlife more accessible, not just for the pharaohs but for regular people too. So the pyramid texts, originally exclusive to the pharaohs, became the seed for a more democratic approach to the afterlife in ancient Egypt. Now, imagine unearthing a piece of history that rewrites what we know about writing. That's exactly what happened in the 1920s when the Kish tablet was discovered in the ancient city of Kish, Mesopotamia. This wasn't just any clay tablet. It was a game changer, offering a glimpse into the very origins of writing and the fascinating society that developed it. Kish was no ordinary town. Located along the Euphrates River, it was a bustling hub of trade, politics, and culture, attracting people from far and wide. This melting pot of cultures likely played a key role in the birth of writing, as different people brought their own symbols and ways of record-keeping, eventually leading to the development of proto-cuneiform script. The discovery of the Kish tablet itself is a story of collaboration. Archaeologists from the Field Museum of Natural History, led by Stephen Langdon, joined forces with other experts to uncover the secrets of Kish. Back then, excavation techniques were evolving, becoming more systematic and meticulous, which was crucial for carefully preserving and documenting this historic find. But what's so special about this tablet? Well, the writing system on it is like a Rosetta Stone of the ancient world. It's one of the earliest examples of written communication, showcasing the transition from picture-based symbols to the complex wedge-shaped script known as cuneiform. This shift reflects the growing complexity of Sumerian society, as people needed new ways to keep track of things. The creation and use of the Kish tablet also hint at a well-organized society. Imagine a city-state managing resources, governing its people, and even engaging in trade with other regions. Writing wasn't just about leaving messages, it was essential for recording transactions, laws, and important decisions. But the impact of writing goes beyond practicalities. It opened doors for cultural expression and the preservation of knowledge. With writing, the Sumerians could record their myths, laws, and historical events, ensuring they weren't lost to time. This paved the way for the rich literary traditions that flourished in the ancient Near East. The Kish tablet is a reminder that writing wasn't just a random invention. It was a necessity for keeping complex societies running smoothly. It also opened doors for cultural exchange and the preservation of knowledge across generations. This discovery continues to spark debates among scholars, with some questioning whether writing originated independently in Mesopotamia or was influenced by other cultures. The mystery surrounding the exact function and content of the tablet adds to its allure, making it a captivating piece of history that continues to captivate archaeologists and historians alike.
The Great Pyramid, mostly that's the one that's been studied. We actually haven't done a whole lot of studying on the other pyramids. In fact, we've not even cleared off the bases of some of the other pyramids up at Giza. It's crazy. I mean, there's giant underground networks of tunnels underneath Saqqara, I think underneath Giza, all over Egypt. The Sphinx is not like a built thing, like they carved down into the ground and then they shaped it out of bedrock.
Beneath the sands of the Giza Plateau lies the Osiris Shaft, a mysterious underground structure that baffles archaeologists and captivates history enthusiasts.
They did discover that somewhere underneath the area of the front paws there was a hollow area.
This subterranean marvel, with its intricate architecture and profound symbols, offers glimpses into ancient Egyptian religious and ceremonial practices. The mysteries of the Osiris Shaft invite us to explore its true purpose and the advanced knowledge behind its construction. Known since the late 19th century, the Osiris Shaft initially did not attract much attention from early explorers and Egyptologists, who focused more on the prominent features like the Great Pyramids and the Sphinx. As a less conspicuous feature, it remained largely unexplored until the late 20th century, when systematic exploration began.
So we do know the Sphinx does have hollow areas. It's just the government doesn't want to admit that that's the case.
The turning point came with the work led by the renowned Egyptologist Zahi Hawass in the 1990s. Under his direction, comprehensive exploration of the shaft was undertaken, which unveiled its complex architecture and potential significance in understanding Egyptian religious practices.
The Sphinx is hidden underneath the Sphinx. So can you give us permission to drill?
The exploration of the Osiris Shaft involved the challenging task of removing water that had accumulated in the lower levels, especially the third level, which was partially submerged.
That the water began to rise in front of the Sphinx temple outside.
Modern pumping equipment was employed to drain the water, allowing archaeologists access to the shaft's deepest parts. The detailed examination of the shaft's architecture revealed the engineering skills of ancient Egyptians. It consists of 3 levels, each serving a different purpose, with the lowest level housing a large stone sarcophagus in a chamber filled with water, suggesting a symbolic representation of the underworld. The second level contained 6 burial shafts, though they were found empty, leading to speculation about their original use. This finding was significant in understanding burial practices and the possible ceremonial use of the shaft. Although largely devoid of inscriptions that could provide direct information about its creators or construction dates, the excavation unearthed several artifacts, including pottery shards and fragments of stone vessels, offering some clues about the shaft's age and use. Dating the Osiris shaft has been challenging due to the lack of inscriptions and the mixed nature of the artifacts found within. However, based on the style of pottery and other items, as well as architectural features, archaeologists suggest that the shaft might date from the New Kingdom period, with some elements possibly being older or reused from earlier periods. The Osiris Shaft, a mysterious and elaborate underground complex, has sparked intense scholarly debate and speculation due to its unique architectural features and symbolic elements.
It's a subterranean complex, so, it's a very complicated, incredibly enigmatic place.
Scholars and archaeologists have proposed various theories about its purpose, drawing on evidence from Egyptian mythology, religious practices, and archaeological findings. These theories primarily revolve around the shaft's connection to the cult of Osiris, the god of the afterlife, death and rebirth, and its potential use in ancient ceremonial practices. Osiris, one of the most important gods in the ancient Egyptian pantheon, symbolizes the cycle of death and rebirth. The water-filled chamber at the bottom of the Osiris shaft is believed to symbolize the underworld, or the primordial waters of Nun, from which all life emerged according to Egyptian cosmology. This chamber, especially with its central stone sarcophagus, could represent the tomb of Osiris and the place of his resurrection. The presence of a large stone-carved sarcophagus in the deepest chamber is seen as a direct reference to Osiris's burial. Although empty, this sarcophagus serves as a powerful symbol of Osiris's death and his role in the afterlife, potentially used in rituals emulating his resurrection. One prevalent theory is that the Osiris shaft was used for initiation rites into the mysteries of Osiris. These rites would have been designed to impart secret knowledge and spiritual rebirth to initiates, mirroring the death and resurrection of Osiris. The descent through the shaft's levels could symbolize the initiate's journey through death to enlightenment and rebirth, with each level representing a stage of spiritual transformation. The shaft may have also been used for rituals celebrating the cyclical nature of life and death, reflecting the agricultural significance of the Nile's flooding and the seasonal growth cycles associated with Osiris. Such rituals could involve the symbolic planting of seeds, water libations, and recitations of hymns and prayers, aiming to ensure the regeneration of life and the fertility of the land. Another speculation ties the Osiris shaft to ancient Egyptian astronomy, particularly the belief in the stars as the destination of the soul in the afterlife. The orientation and structure of the shaft might have had astronomical significance, aligning with specific stars or constellations believed to be associated with Osiris and the afterlife. While direct archaeological evidence supporting these theories is limited, the design of the Osiris shaft and the artifacts found within it offer indirect clues. The careful construction of the shaft, the choice of its location near the Sphinx and the Great Pyramid, and the selection of objects placed in the smaller chambers suggest a deliberate attempt to create a sacred space imbued with religious and symbolic meanings. Textual evidence from ancient Egyptian religious texts, such as the Pyramid texts and the Book of the Dead, which contain references to the afterlife and the journey of the soul, provides a contextual backdrop for interpreting the Osiris shaft. These texts describe the landscape of the afterlife, including the presence of water, boats, and the significance of the sarcophagus, all of which find echoes in the physical structure of the Osiris shaft. The Osiris shaft showcases the architectural ingenuity of ancient Egyptian civilization, constructed deep within the limestone bedrock and organized into 3 distinct levels connected by vertical shafts. This site blends the practical with the mystical. Let's explore the architecture and structure of the Osiris Shaft, examining each level's design, construction, and potential significance. The engineering and architectural design of the Osiris Shaft demonstrate advanced planning and knowledge of subterranean construction techniques. The entrance is a rectangular opening, a deliberate design choice marking the beginning of a descent into the earth.
That's the access to the underground area of the Sphinx. The government put it there on purpose.
This opening leads directly to a vertical shaft carved straight down into the limestone, requiring precise control to maintain the shaft's integrity and direction. The shaft descends approximately 10 meters to the first level. The construction of this shaft involved removing tons of limestone using tools made from harder stones, copper, and possibly bronze, as well as ropes and wooden scaffolding for debris removal. The initial chamber at this level is relatively modest in size and devoid of elaborate decorations or significant artifacts. Its simplicity suggests it may have served as an antechamber or a preparatory space for deeper levels, possibly intended for purification or other preliminary rites. A second vertical shaft leads from the first level down an additional 20 meters, indicating a continuation of the journey into the depths. This shaft's construction would have been even more challenging due to the depth and the need to ensure ventilation and structural stability. This more extensive chamber houses 6 burial shafts, which were found empty, hinting at possible looting or a symbolic use. The creation of these shafts within the chamber's floor showcases a complex understanding of space utilization and the cultural importance of burial practices. The empty burial shafts might have been intended for actual interments or served a ceremonial purpose, perhaps symbolizing the passage to the afterlife. Their presence speaks to the shaft's potential role in funerary rites or as a cenotaph. The third and deepest level is accessed via another shaft from the second level, descending around 30 meters below the surface. This final descent marks the culmination of the journey into the underworld, mirroring the mythological descent of Osiris. Dominated by a large stone sarcophagus, this chamber is a dramatic representation of the tomb of Osiris. The partial filling of this chamber with water from the natural aquifer links the Osiris Shaft to the mythological themes of rebirth and purification. Water, a symbol of life and regeneration, would have held profound religious significance, enhancing the chamber's sanctity as a representation of Osiris's tomb. Surrounding the central sarcophagus are smaller chambers that contained mummified remains and artifacts. Graham Hancock, a British author known for his unconventional theories about ancient civilizations, has posited several intriguing ideas regarding the Osiris Shaft and the broader context of ancient Egyptian monuments.
Is there not a hidden chamber as well?
In fact, there is a whole underworld at Giza. This is beginning to be recognized.
Hancock's work, which spans several books including Fingerprints of the Gods and Magicians of the Gods, often challenges the orthodox archaeological understanding of history. His theories, while controversial among mainstream scholars, have sparked considerable interest and debate among the public and alternative researchers.
I think there's a lot more remains to be discovered under the Giza Plateau.
Yeah.
A central theme in his work is the hypothesis of a lost advanced civilization that predates known history. He suggests that this civilization possessed sophisticated knowledge of astronomy, architecture, and mathematics, which was passed down to later cultures, including the ancient Egyptians.
But remember that the ancient Egyptians tell us in many of their texts that everything they knew was a legacy.
He suggests these events led to significant rises in sea levels and could have been responsible for the demise of the advanced civilization he hypothesizes. The Osiris Shaft's lower levels being filled with water could be interpreted within Hancock's framework as symbolic or actual evidence of these cataclysmic events. He might view the water in the shaft as a deliberate reference to the ancient floods and the civilization's knowledge of these cataclysmic events.
The Great Pyramid, mostly that's the one that's been studied. We actually haven't done a whole lot of studying on the other pyramids. It's something that's severely lacking. In fact, we've not even cleared off the bases of some of the other pyramids up at Giza. It's crazy.
So you can understand why people start to question the historical narrative.
The reality of them is probably stranger and more interesting than anything people can think up in terms of fiction.
For centuries, we've believed that the ancient Egyptians were the masterminds behind this architectural marvel. But what if they weren't? What if instead, they simply moved into these colossal structures? Join us as we explore groundbreaking theories, unravel new discoveries, and challenge everything we thought we knew about one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world.
I'm willing to accept that the Great Pyramid was largely completed by the ancient Egyptians.
The Great Pyramid of Giza, built during the 4th dynasty of Egypt for Pharaoh Khufu around 2580 to 2560 BC, has long captured the imagination of people worldwide. The discovery of its entrance and the subsequent exploration of its interior chambers have significantly deepened our understanding of ancient Egyptian architecture and burial practices. For centuries, the entrance to this monumental structure was a mystery. Originally, the pyramid was encased in smooth Tura limestone, which concealed any openings. By the time explorers began their quest, most of this casing had been stripped away, revealing the underlying structure.
The Great Pyramid was sealed. It was a sealed monument.
The first recorded discovery of the entrance dates back to 820 AD, when the Caliph al-Mamun ordered an expedition to uncover the pyramid's secrets.
The Caliph al-Mamun, who was running Egypt at the time, wanted to get inside the Great Pyramid.
His workers supposedly found the hidden entrance after hearing a stone fall within the pyramid. They located the entrance about 17 meters above the ground on the northern face, slightly to the east of the central axis. This discovery led them to a descending passageway. From the entrance, the descending passageway measures about 1.2 meters high and 3.5 wide, sloping downwards at an angle of approximately 26 degrees.
Is there not a hidden chamber as well?
In fact, there is a whole underworld at Giza. This is beginning to be recognized.
This passage extends for about 105 meters into the pyramid, eventually reaching the subterranean chamber, also known as the pit. This chamber lies beneath the pyramid, carved into the bedrock, and is unfinished, roughly hewn, and not fully smoothed out like other parts of the pyramid. Measuring approximately 27 by 14 meters and about 8.6 meters high at its highest point, the chamber's purpose remains unclear.
We actually don't know what these chambers were for. No burial of any pharaoh was ever found inside the Great Pyramid.
Some theories suggest it was an early attempt at a burial chamber or simply an unfinished part of the construction. Halfway along the descending passageway, an ascending passageway branches off upwards. Similar in dimensions to the descending passageway, it extends for about 39 meters before reaching the Grand Gallery. The entrance to the ascending passageway was originally concealed by a stone block, adding an extra level of security. The Grand Gallery is one of the pyramid's most impressive features. It is a steeply inclined corridor, measuring about 46.6 meters in length, 8.6 meters in height, and 2.1 meters in width at the base, narrowing slightly towards the top. The walls of the Grand Gallery are lined with precisely cut stones, and the ceiling consists of corbelled stone blocks, creating a vaulted appearance. The floor has a series of slots, possibly for the placement of beams or to aid in the transportation of heavy objects. Approximately halfway along the Grand Gallery, a horizontal passageway leads to the so-called Queen's Chamber. This chamber is smaller than the King's Chamber, measuring about 5 3/4 meters by 5 1/4 meters, with a height of 6 1/4 meters. The walls are smooth and the ceiling is pointed, forming a gabled roof. The exact purpose of the Queen's Chamber is still debated. It might have been intended as a secondary burial chamber or a symbolic chamber for the pharaoh's spirit. Continuing up the Grand Gallery, a horizontal passage leads to the King's Chamber, the most important room in the pyramid. The King's Chamber is rectangular, measuring about 1.5 by 5.2 meters, and has a flat roof composed of massive granite beams. The chamber's walls are also lined with granite, and the floor consists of large granite blocks. Inside the King's Chamber is a large granite sarcophagus, believed to have held Khufu's body. The sarcophagus is too large to have been brought in through the existing passages, indicating it was placed during the construction of the pyramid. Above the King's Chamber are 5 relieving chambers, designed to distribute the weight of the pyramid and prevent the roof of the King's Chamber from collapsing. These chambers are separated by large horizontal slabs of granite, each layer relieving some of the weight above. In recent times, advanced technologies like ground-penetrating radar and Moon tomography have been employed to explore the pyramid further. These methods have led to the discovery of previously unknown voids and chambers, such as the Scan Pyramid's Big Void, a large empty space above the Grand Gallery discovered in 2017. The purpose of this void remains a mystery and continues to be a topic of ongoing research and speculation. The area surrounding the Great Pyramid of Giza, also known as Khufu's Pyramid, has been a treasure trove of archaeological discoveries.
I think there's a lot more remains to be discovered under the Giza Plateau.
Yeah.
These finds offer remarkable insights into ancient Egyptian civilization, their burial practices, religious beliefs, and daily life. One of the most intriguing discoveries is the solar boat pits, unearthed in 1954 by Egyptian archaeologist Kamal El-Malak. These pits contain 2 intact boats buried near the Great Pyramid, positioned on the southern side. Known as solar barks, these boats were believed to serve a dual purpose. They were intended for Khufu's journey with the sun god Ra across the sky during the day and through the underworld at night. Another theory suggests they might have been used in the funerary procession of the pharaoh. The boats are made of Lebanese cedar wood, meticulously assembled without nails. The larger boat measures about 43.6 meters in length and features a sophisticated design with a cabin, oars, and rope bindings, using a technique known as mortise and tenon. The first boat was painstakingly reconstructed over 14 years by Egyptian conservator Ahmed Youssef Mustafa and is now displayed in the Khufu Boat Museum beside the Great Pyramid. The second boat remains in situ, awaiting advanced preservation techniques. In the early 1990s, Egyptian archaeologist Zahi Hawass and his team made a groundbreaking discovery southeast of the Great Pyramid, the tombs of the workers who built the pyramids. The tombs provided evidence that the builders were paid laborers who worked in 3-month rotating shifts, reflecting the societal structure and economy of the Old Kingdom. The tombs contained skeletal remains showing signs of healed injuries, indicating that workers had access to medical care. Pottery shards, tools, and remnants of food supplies such as bread and beer were also found, shedding light on their diet and daily life. The presence of beef and fish bones suggests that the workers received good nutrition. The tombs were simple, yet carefully constructed from mud brick and limestone, indicating a level of respect for the workers. Some tombs had hieroglyphic inscriptions and modest grave goods, signifying the workers' social status and the reverence afforded to them. Another significant discovery was made in 1925 by American archaeologist George Reisner when he uncovered the mastaba of Queen Hetepheres I, the mother of Khufu, in the Giza necropolis. Located to the northeast of the Great Pyramid, the tomb was initially hidden under debris. The tomb contained a large cache of funerary equipment, including a golden throne, a gilded bed with a canopy, chairs, a palanquin, and various personal items such as jewelry and cosmetic boxes. The craftsmanship of these items highlights the luxurious lifestyle of the royal family and the high level of artisanship of the period. Interestingly, Hetepheres' body was never found, leading to theories that her mummy might have been relocated or never placed in the tomb. Some suggest the burial equipment might have been prepared in anticipation of her death, but used for another purpose. The remains of Khufu's Pyramid Temple have been uncovered through various excavations conducted over the years, with significant contributions from archaeologists such as Mark Lehner and Zahi Hawass. The Pyramid Temple was a site for offerings and rituals to honor the deceased pharaoh Khufu. It played a central role in the funerary cult, where daily rituals and ceremonies ensured the pharaoh's immortality. The temple's remains include large limestone blocks, column bases, and fragments of statues and altars. The temple layout typically featured a courtyard, a hypostyle hall, and sanctuaries. The temple was connected to the pyramid by a causeway, which was used for processional purposes. Various small artifacts, including inscribed blocks, offering tables, and fragments of statues have been found. These artifacts shed light on the religious practices of the time, the artistic styles, and the materials used. Notably, fragments of a life-size statue of Khufu have been uncovered, providing insights into the pharaoh's appearance and royal iconography. The tomb of Khentkaus-Thratrat, discovered by archaeologists in the early 20th century, is also referred to as the Fourth Pyramid due to its unique design. Located to the southeast of the Great Pyramid, within the Giza necropolis, the tomb features a unique design that combines elements of both a pyramid and a mastaba. It includes a stepped pyramid base with a superstructure that might have been intended as a pyramid but was left unfinished.
I believe that it's worth considering the possibility of a remote common ancestor. which passed down key information that was inherited by later cultures. I'm willing to accept that the Great Pyramid was largely completed by the ancient Egyptians. But remember that the ancient Egyptians tell us in many of their texts that everything they knew was a legacy.
Imagine stepping back in time, way before the majestic pyramids of Egypt were ever conceived, and finding yourself exploring the Blombos Cave on the southern coast of South Africa. Discovered in the 1990s by Professor Christopher Henshelwood, this cave has turned out to be a treasure trove of artifacts dating back about 100,000 years to the Middle Stone Age, offering a unique glimpse into early human culture.
Are we looking at the traces of a forgotten episode in human history? I think so. I think that's what's going on here.
The variety of artifacts found in Blombos Cave is nothing short of astounding. Among these treasures are some of the earliest known bone tools. These weren't just rudimentary tools, but were delicately crafted, indicating a high level of skill and an advanced understanding of materials long before similar tools appeared in other parts of the world. The sophistication in these tools suggests that early humans were far more advanced than previously thought. But the artifacts don't stop there. The cave has also yielded pieces of ochre engraved with geometric patterns. Far from being mere decorations, these engravings are believed to represent some of the earliest forms of symbolic communication and abstract art, hinting at the complex cognitive abilities of their creators.
There's more and more evidence that cave art that was attributed to Homo sapiens was actually done by Neanderthals.
This ability to think abstractly and to plan suggests a significant leap in human cognitive development, often referred to as the cognitive revolution. Moreover, the discovery of shell beads in the cave points to a culture that valued personal adornment and possibly had social or ritualistic practices involving these items. These beads could have been used in necklaces or bracelets, potentially serving as a form of currency or social stratification. When we compare these ancient engravings to the later, more detailed Lascaux cave paintings in France, a fascinating picture emerges. Although the Lascaux paintings, which date to about 17,000 years ago, are more visually complex, the abstract patterns and use of materials like ochre at Blombos may represent an earlier form of the same cognitive evolution towards symbolic thought and communication. This comparison not only underscores the continuity in human artistic endeavors, but also highlights the depth and richness of human creativity from its very beginnings. These findings from Blombos Cave challenge our previous assumptions about prehistoric humans and provide deep insights into the evolution of human cognition, artistic expression, and social structures. They paint a picture of a complex, nuanced society engaged in sophisticated practices and thought processes long before many other known civilizations. Let's travel from the ancient ingenuity displayed in South Africa's Blombos Cave to another fascinating archaeological site, Çatalhöyük in south-central Turkey. Discovered by James Mellart in the late 1950s and later excavated by Ian Hodder, Çatalhöyük has been a goldmine of information about Neolithic urban life, dating back between 9,500 to 7,700 years ago. Covering about 32 acres, Çatalhöyük isn't your typical ancient city. The settlement was incredibly well planned, with houses made of mud bricks built so close to each other that the roofs served dual purposes: ceilings for the dwellings they topped, and terraces for the adjacent upper levels. This unique architectural style suggests a highly organized society with no clear signs of social stratification, which is pretty unusual for such an early form of urban development. The residents of Çatalhöyük had a vibrant cultural life, as evidenced by the elaborate frescoes adorning the walls of their homes. These murals, which are among the earliest known examples of narrative art, depict detailed hunting scenes and vultures, providing a window into the community's beliefs, rituals, and the environment around them. Religion appears to have played a central role in daily life at Çatalhöyük. This is indicated by the numerous figurines and shrines unearthed during excavations, with a notable prevalence of female symbols and figures suggesting potentially matriarchal elements in their social structure. One of the most intriguing theories about Catalhoyuk is that it might have been an egalitarian society. The uniformity in house size and communal living arrangements support the idea of a proto-communist social order, where there wasn't a significant emphasis on social hierarchy. This is further backed by the absence of grand tombs or palatial structures, which are usually indicative of pronounced social stratification. These comparisons not only highlight the diversity in how early urban societies could be structured and function, but also enrich our understanding of human social evolution. As we delve deeper into these ancient cities, we continue to uncover how our ancestors lived, worked, and formed communities, providing valuable insights into the past that shape our knowledge of human history. The story of the Derinkuyu underground city in Cappadocia, Turkey, reads like something out of a fascinating mystery novel, complete with accidental discoveries and architectural wonders.
It's really important to understand that archaeology is often driven by accidental finds.
Located in a region celebrated for its unique geological features, particularly the soft volcanic rock that has been easily sculpted for millennia, Derinkuyu is the largest of the many underground cities carved into this landscape. Our tale begins in 1963, when an ordinary homeowner in Derinkuyu, known only to a few, decided to make some home improvements. Little did he know that knocking down a wall in his basement would open a door to the past. Behind the wall was a passage that led to a complex network of rooms and tunnels extending deep beneath the earth. What the homeowner had discovered was not a simple series of rooms, but an elaborate subterranean city that stretched down as much as 85 meters and included at least 18 levels. This ancient city wasn't just a refuge. It was a fully functional community with everything from homes and communal gathering places to schools, places of worship, and tombs. When local authorities were alerted to the find, archaeologists rushed to explore this underground marvel. They were astounded to discover that Derinkuyu could have supported as many as 20,000 people along with their animals and stored food. The city's design was remarkably sophisticated, with ventilation shafts that ensured fresh air could reach even the deepest levels, similar to modern-day air conditioning systems. The city's architecture suggested that its creators were not only skilled builders, but also clever strategists. Massive stone doors could be rolled across passageways to seal off the city from invaders, and narrow tunnels would have forced any intruders to enter in single file, making them easier to defend against. Derinkuyu's design is often compared to the labyrinth of Minos from Greek mythology, intended to confuse or trap unwanted guests with its complex layout and her minimal exits. This feature, along with its ventilation and security measures, highlights a level of planning and engineering that parallels the sophistication of certain modern infrastructures. The Altamira Cave, nestled in the picturesque Cantabria region of northern Spain, was brought to international attention in 1879 by Marcelino Sanz de Sotuola, who famously declared that its stunning cave paintings were of prehistoric origin. This initial claim faced a great deal of skepticism, but was eventually verified, proving the paintings to be an astonishing 36,000 years old, dating back to the Upper Paleolithic period. Renowned for their vivid depiction of wild mammals and human hands, the paintings of Altamira are celebrated for their vibrant polychrome techniques. Artists of the time utilized an impressive palette created from charcoal, ochre, and hematite to produce colors ranging from deep blacks and yellows to rich reds. These pigments were not just randomly splashed on, but were applied meticulously with tools like fingers, fur pads, or flint tools, pointing to a sophisticated understanding of materials and methods. The subjects of these paintings, mainly bison, horses, and boars, are portrayed with a remarkable sense of movement and dimensionality that is rarely seen in other Paleolithic art. This dynamic portrayal suggests that these creatures were not only important food sources, but also held a significant place in the cultural and spiritual life of the people. The detailed depiction of their anatomy and behavior reflects a deep observational skill and suggests that the artists were highly knowledgeable about their subjects. The realism and artistry of Altamira's cave paintings, especially the famous bison scenes, highlight the painter's extraordinary skills and their keen eye for detail. Some scholars believe that these paintings were used in rituals or shamanistic practices aimed at ensuring a successful hunt or invoking animal spirits, indicating that the cave might have been a place of great spiritual importance. Altamira's artists mastered the art of creating depth and movement through adept shading and contouring, focusing more on realism and possibly the spiritual connection between the human and animal worlds.